hope this video will get to some people, and I would like to thank in advance whoever would watch this. Now, this is not a usual video that I post. I usually just go post gameplay videos. This is my New Game Plus Part 3 video, but it's mainly about me talking about Sekiro. It's like a review. Actually, not like a review. It's just me talking about why Sekiro is why is it such an absolute masterpiece. It's my favorite From Software title yet. This game is there aren't even words to describe how awesome it is. First of all, I want to start by, by the way, I want to start by saying that I'm going to be doing some comparison with the Soulsborne series. So from now, this is entirely my own opinion, and I do not mean to offend any Soulsborne fans. Also, don't expect such good video editing. I'm not going to be matching clips with what I'm talking about because I don't own a PC, well, yet, hopefully soon. So I'm just going to be playing and talking about the game. First, I want to start by talking about Dark Souls. The environment in Dark Souls were always like brownish, dark, and I don't know, for me it kind of felt like Rome, old Rome, and what is it called? Rome, Italy, and those old countries all mixed up together in this old, iconic, fictional world. It's certainly so fucking cool, but one of the things that I disliked about Dark Souls is the combat. I know that it's a very amazing combat and it's very addictive as well, but it's not creative because, I mean, come on, let's face it. All you do in Dark Souls 3, I mean, even Dark Souls 2, by the way, I only just played Dark Souls 2 or 3, I haven't played Demon Souls or Dark Souls 1. So, actually there's no Dark Souls 1. But, all you do is basically try to wait for the enemy until it attacks you and just dodge and poke them in the ass. And there wasn't actually any, I mean, it is a challenge because the enemy can take you out with 2 hits while you have to poke the enemy's ass like 100 times until he or she dies. But after, by the way, I'm pausing a lot because I wrote some of this on my phone and I'm actually stopping and reading. I'm improvising a lot about what I'm saying now, and then I'm looking back at the phone and I'm making so many English mistakes. Please forgive me. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the lore because From Software games has an amazing lore. Not all, I mean the Dark Soulsborne series. They have an amazing lore and the storytelling is awesome, so I won't be talking about that at all. But what I want to focus on is how Dark Souls developed, how Bloodborne developed from Dark Souls, then Sekiro developed from Bloodborne. When I used to play Dark Souls, the thing I didn't like the most is the slow pace. I mean, any hardcore gamer would relate to this. I'd like to consider myself a hardcore gamer, but most gamers, they always like a game that puts their concentration and mind to a test. Like, how can this game be so difficult that I can't actually beat, or how much do I need to concentrate and learn from this game to actually beat it? In Dark Souls, yes, there's a big space for skill to learn, but not that big actually, because I mean, even though there are different bosses and they have different attacks, but once you're familiar with how the boss attack is or how the enemy attacks you, it's very easy to dodge and hit them, and there's this just rolling dodge. And don't get me wrong, Dark Souls and Bloodborne, they have something awesome that Sekiro doesn't have, which is creating creating your own character, your own stats, your own abilities, magic and spells and stuff. I love that so much, but the slow pace gameplay, that's the thing. I'm not trying to criticize it, but it's just because I'm trying to compare those games together to each other. I admire the system, don't get me wrong, the combat was absolutely beautiful, but I wasn't a big fan of it. When Dark Souls 3 came out, they improved on that a lot. Although the game space was still kind of slow in my opinion, but it was an improvement from the extreme slow pace of Dark Souls 2. Now when it comes to actual enemy fighting, the thing that I don't like other than the slow pace was the combat style and strategy. Like I said before, it's always dodging and trying to get behind the enemy's ass, poke it, wait for an attack, dodge, attack. That was it. I mean, there wasn't much more to that. Yeah, you can use your spells, you can use your items for certain buffs and to deal more damage, and maybe some other things, but there wasn't that much more to it compared to Sekiro. I would say Bloodborne is similar to that, but I'll talk about that in a bit. I'm probably gonna be making a lot of mistakes during this so-called review, but I'm just trying my best. This is my first time I do a video like this, and I'm doing it live. As you can see, this video has been broadcasted. I'm not recording it, I'm not trying to perfect it. Hopefully in the future for other games, or maybe Sekiro 2. Please God, please, From Software, let there be Sekiro 2. Now, where was I? Okay. Now there is, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, not to be fair, there is parrying in Dark Souls, which is awesome, very good, but it doesn't work on all enemies, especially not all bosses, and it requires very accurate timing, which is good. That's nice. You need to learn how to when you get that parry, you get that satisfaction feeling, but it doesn't work on all enemies, and if you miss that parry, you're screwed. If you're fighting a boss, you're probably gonna die with one hit, and especially if the boss combo chain was more than one hit, the string. So for me, repeating all that over and over again, it became boring. You know, Dark Souls is famous for being beaten multiple times. There's New Game Plus, you beat it once, you beat it twice, you beat it 3 times. It kept you coming back, but not, I mean, I beat it 3 times, Dark Souls 2 I beat it twice, Dark Souls 3 I beat it 3 times. But after that, you just get sick of it. I mean, there's nothing more to it. The combat gets boring. It gets, it feels repetitive after you finish it the first time. Yeah, you're probably saying, well, you only need to finish the game 1 time. How many times do you need to finish the game? Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Playing the game 1 time is an absolute amazing experience. But other than that, if you want, I'm just trying to compare how creative Sekiro is compared to Dark Souls. Now, after another example, or to give, one of my favorite games is Mortal Kombat X, and you know that feeling you get when you do a 50% damage combo, that mental orgasm you get. It's the same, it's very similar to the feeling you get, or the satisfaction you get when you beat a boss in Dark Souls, a really fucking hard boss. I forgot what that boss called, the lightning boss in Dark Souls 3. But Sekiro just takes that on a whole new level, you know? I keep jumping ahead of myself talking about Sekiro because I want to talk about Bloodborne first. And to talk, another thing to mention, Dark Souls had a PvP. Yeah, I kind of like the PvP. It was nice. You get to create your own character, your own stats. You be creative with how you present your character and how you can defeat your online players. However, it's, I mean, everybody must have suffered from this. No matter how good your internet is, you'll always run into lag spikes. So it's, when you're rolling, you're just playing online, and you get one lag spike, you get hit during that lag spike, half of your health is gone, and it's not cool to drink any healing potions while you're playing PvP. So I wasn't really a big fan of the online experience of Dark Souls. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying this. I'm sorry, this is just my own opinion. Now, let's just move on to Bloodborne. Fuck, I'm fucking this up a lot. Bloodborne, in my opinion, was much better than Dark Souls. Not much better, it was better than Dark Souls, because it introduced many new things to the series, even though it was very similar. But for me, it felt like a huge improvement on Dark Souls. The environments were totally different. Yeah, they have this kind of depressing, dark era, but in Bloodborne, that just, I don't know, it was kind of different. I loved the environment more, and the graphics. The graphics, oh my god, I haven't talked. The graphics of Dark Souls 2, by the way, were awesome for a game for that time. The graphics were really good. Dark Souls 3, they had better graphics, but not that much better, I'm in my opinion. But Bloodborne, they just nailed the graphics somehow, even though it wasn't like very good, I mean excellent compared to other high graphical games, but it just had that details, so much details in the environments. Yes, there are many details in Dark Souls environments, but not as much as Bloodborne. I mean, and something special, it just felt like so crispy, smooth, and sexy graphics. I know it's a weird way to describe graphics, but I just love the graphics on Bloodborne. And I might sound like a psycho for saying this, but the blood effects in Bloodborne, oh my god, it looked so good. In my opinion, the blood effects in Bloodborne even looked better than Sekiro. The way the blood splashes, and how it gets stuck on your coat and your outfit, it was so beautiful. I loved it. I loved every single aspect of Bloodborne. I don't think anyone can argue with me that Bloodborne's combat was a huge improvement from Dark Souls series. First, you got that parry, which I liked more than the parry in Dark Souls, where you shoot the enemy as soon as at the second they're hitting. Not actually at the second. Each enemy's attack was different. You gotta shoot them while they are in the mid of their attack, not as soon as the hit lands on you, like in Dark Souls. And you stun them, they go down on their knees, and you get that sick animation where you put your hand inside their guts and just pull their souls out. Fuck, I feel like I sound like a psycho saying this, but it was just a cool thing to do in a video game, if you know what I mean. Bloodborne animations in general were awesome, and I really admired the detail that if you were not locked onto an enemy, you would, if you're trying to dodge, you would roll. But when you lock on an enemy, you'll have that side slide animation dodge. It was so sick. Not unlike Dark Souls, you just have the rolling dodge. In Bloodborne, when you lock onto an enemy, when you dodge, you have that quick, fast sideways dodge without rolling. And the combat in Bloodborne was so sick. It was more aggressive than Dark Souls. That's what I loved about it. Like when you want a real game to challenge you, you don't want a game. I hated the aspect of carrying an armor in Dark Souls. It was so fucking boring. It takes, yeah, okay, the aspects are nice. It takes out your stamina if you're holding your shield for too long. Some hits actually take some of your health. But why do I defending is boring. You want to have a better option, which I will get to when I'm talking about Sekiro. Where am I now? Yeah, Bloodborne's combat, it was much more aggressive than Dark Souls, and it has more rush aspect to it. It was designed that way. If you get hit, you'll still have a second or two to recover that health. If you connect a physical hit on your enemy, not a shot or whatever. It always kept you on your feet, thinking about your decision. Should I get my health back and be aggressive, or back up and use a health potion? And don't get me wrong, when the don't I mean I in Dark Souls they didn't have that mechanic. They have their own mechanic. It was nice, but I just felt like that improvement in Bloodborne was very positive. And don't get me started on the weapon in beginning future, the way how you can transform your weapon to another shape by pressing L1, and you can also perform different attacks or combine both together. It was so sick and creative. Bloodborne felt much more creative compared to Dark Souls. Another thing I loved about Bloodborne is the character's customization options, or clothes, outfits. Each piece of coat, hat, gloves, or shoes is super cool. You really can't find an option that you'd say about boring or ugly. Maybe ugly, yeah, but even if it's ugly, it still looks so fucking cool. Now I won't be talking, like I said before, about the story or the lore, because all From Software, I mean all Soulsborne series, every time I want to say all From Software games, I remember the old shitty PC games before Demon Souls. That's why I'm not saying all software games. All the Soulsborne series had awesome storytelling and lore. Now, coming to Sekiro. Okay, this is the part where I'm actually gonna be improvising about the rest of this video, because I haven't written anything about Sekiro, and I just wanted to get this video out. I was planning to wait until I get a PC and edit the video well, and talk about things and put clips to match it with. But like I said, hopefully this will happen for future games, if this video actually get any views or anybody watches or listens to this. Now, with Sekiro, oh my god, like, you know, every now and then you get a game that takes over the market. Or actually, let me put that in a different way. Every now and then you get a game that just, you know, takes over your mind. You can't just stop thinking about it. You can't stop playing it. Whatever, I go to work, I can't wait until I get back so I can play it. I go to sleep, I can't wait to wake up until I play it. And this mostly happens actually for me in multiplayer competitive games. It's very rare to happen in a single player adventure game for me. So it's been a very long time. I think I haven't been like this much addicted to a game since Bloodborne, or when Mortal Kombat X came out. But this game was seriously, like, exceeded all of my expectations. I watched many videos, many early gameplays. Yeah, I was watching and the game looked cool and sick, but as soon as I got my hands on it, it just felt like whatever I was expecting, it was just much more than that. First of all, the environment. The environment is so fucking sick. Now, why is that? Because this is a huge step from Dark Souls or Bloodborne environments. This is totally different. Unlike I mean, Bloodborne, even though it was different from Dark Souls, but it was still kind of similar. You can see the same details, even though it was like Bloodborne, it was like London with monsters and some other aspects to it. Dark Souls, it was more of like that Roman, Italian, old-fashioned fiction environment. Still, the environments in both games were kind of similar. You could see that it's from the same developers, the touches. But in Sekiro, they made a huge change. I'm a big fan of graphics, and other than that, this is a stupid thing to say, but I don't mean actually graphics. I mean the, how do I put this in a better way? The environment is just brighter, you know, brighter, more open, and the jump, you can jump. I'm sure Activision had something to, maybe this was Activision's idea to put more freedom in the game where you can jump and grapple on things. Well done, Activision. Even though when I heard that Activision is also working on the game, I was kind of worried. I don't really like Activision. I do like Call of Duty. No offense, Call of Duty fans, but I don't like any Call of Duty after Modern Warfare or maybe Black Ops 1. Still, Modern Warfare is my favorite. After that, all the shitty same versions like Assassin's Creed, they just squeeze the money out of that. Anyways, we're getting off topic. Shit, I'm trying to remember, where did I fucking want to go? I want to show you. Oh yeah, an amazing place in this game. So the environment was a huge step up from Bloodborne and Dark Souls. It's just so bright, and the trees, the Japanese old era setup, it's just so sick. I mean, I loved the environment. As soon as I stepped into Sekiro's world, it was just absolutely amazing. I mean, look at this. How can you not fall in love with this environment? Like, and when you look down, you have these trees, how old Japan was built up on the mountains. I don't know if this is historically true or not, but I just love it so much. There's a place in this area where you go to get a flower. Not actually a flower, I forgot what is it called, for an NPC. And once you get on top of that hill, you have this amazing view that I'll show you in a bit. Now, other than the environment, I want to talk about the combat in the end. The story is awesome. I love the story so much. And wow, damn, it's hard to focus on playing and talking at the same time. Because I want to think of the food. I don't want to waste the time of whoever watching this. I already are actually. But let me just get out of this place. So where was I? After the environment, what did I want to talk about? Oh, the character. Now this was something new, very new to the Dark Souls, the Soulsborne series. That there's one character you gotta stick to, and you can't adjust it or edit it or edit your stats or whatever. And there's no online. And I think I guess why there's no online. First of all, having a character of your own is I don't know, it's just a new experience in Bloodborne. I mean, in Soulsborne series, and I loved it. I was a bit skeptical about it in the beginning, but when I got the game, the character design is so sick. And look at that look on his face. He always had this dead, cold, ice cold look, like someone who you can tell really suffered, even though it's just a game features, a video game character features. They just put so much emotions in that look. I love this look. I don't know why. Maybe I'm exaggerating my point, but I really love it. And you get to actually go through a story that's related to the main character. In Bloodborne and Dark Souls, you go through a story that's meant to be for an Ashen One, or I forgot what is it called in Bloodborne. But here the story has more to it, because you have this character that has a history, and there's a reason of why he's doing this. He has a lord, he's protecting him, and this lord gives him the dragon blood power, which gives him the ability to resurrect. This is another thing that's so awesome about this game. Like, they even went all the way to the death mechanic. They didn't even let that be just a normal mechanic. In any other game, it's just like, okay, you die, or like any, let's say Dark Souls, bro, you died, go back to the checkpoint and start over again. Here, no, you die, there's a true death and there's a normal death. You die the first time, you have the ability to resurrect. You die a second time, that's a true death. And when you go through a true death, that's when the people, NPCs around you will start getting affected, they'll start getting sick. And then throughout the game, when you play it more, you'll be able to know how to heal them. But if you don't heal them, that will also affect the ending of the game. Oh no, actually, I don't know if that will affect the ending of the game. Nobody has said that it affects the ending of the game. It just makes NPCs sick around you. Maybe it doesn't affect the ending, but still, it's such a cool mechanic that even death has a mechanic to it in the game. I just loved it. In my, I want to jump ahead and say this game is flawless, but I want to go through everything before I say this word. This is just, again, my own opinion. I might be wrong, I might be right, I don't know, maybe I'm saying a lot of stuff. I'm not well prepared for this video, but fuck it. We talked about environment, character, gameplay. Now, you have this absolute freedom that you never had in a Soulsborne game. You can jump, walk around, and grapple. Fuck, the grappling is so freaking cool, man. Like, you really feel like a fucking ninja. It's a shinobi. That's even cooler than ninja. You feel like you're playing as Kakashi in Naruto. It's so sick. And the combat, I guess it's time for us to get to the combat. The combat in this game is, without a doubt, hands down, the best combat in an RPG game I've ever came across, I've ever played, my eyes ever laid sight on. I love the combat in this game. There is so much to it. I mean, okay, we talked about how it can get repetitive and boring in the Soulsborne series, where you just have to dodge, get behind an enemy's ass, and focus. Oh, what the fuck? Chill, man. Whoa. Oh, shit. 2 more hits and I'm dead. Don't. Chill. Oh my god. Yeah, climb up. Okay. See, this is what happens when you play and talk at the same time. Did I kill this dude? Yeah, I did. Oh, wait. I want to go to where the flower... Oh, there we go. This is the place I was talking about. Now look at this. Oh, jump, bro. Look at this. Like, how can you not fall in love with such an environment? Oh my god. Like, this is the flower I was talking about. Tell me, like, you don't want to just have a cup of coffee and sit on this edge and just like look, you know. When I first came through this, across this, I stayed here for 5 minutes just admiring the game's environment. Look at this, and to think that you can actually go what's the word? Seamlessly or without any loading screens to whatever area you love. Yeah, that's also in the Soulsborne series. By the way, not everything I'm talking about is a comparison to Bloodborne and Dark Souls, even though it does sound like it, but I made that mistake I'm doing a lot of mistakes talking about this. And I'm also talking about how I'm doing a lot of mistakes a lot. Shut up, Jay. Anyway, so this is the view that I wanted to show you. There's another flower, I forgot where. Oh yeah, I remember. There's another flower I need to get. So, the combat in this game. Oh fuck, I almost fell. Where was the other flower? Oh yeah, there. Whoa, that was close. The combat in this game is, in my opinion, it's the only definition I can give for this combat is perfection, flawless. There is no combat like this game. First of all, most of the games, like we talked about, dodge, get behind the enemy, poke, or block. And most games, fighting games, are the same thing. You dodge, you have a dodge button, you have a block button, and an attack button. Maybe jump, but you can. There is no actual purpose for jumping. You can just jump above the enemy to kill it. Here, every single move you do in Sekiro during the combat counts. It's first of all, you have the block. You have the ability to block. However, you have a posture meter. The more you block, the more your posture meter bar will fill up. And when your posture meter fill up, your posture will break, which will cause you to get stunned and free hit for the enemy, even maybe 2 hits, and that's all it takes for you to die. So you gotta be extremely careful. Now, then we have the dodge button. This is not a Dark Souls or a Bloodborne game. This is why many people, when the game came out, they were saying, this game is so difficult. Why shouldn't there be an easy mode? Are you even listening to yourself? You should be ashamed of even calling yourself a gamer for saying that shit and nonsense. There should be an easy mode. You're playing a From Software game and saying, oh, an easy mode never harmed the game. It does harm a game. If this game had an easy mode, or any of the Soulsborne series has an easy mode, it would have been ridiculous. Well, what's the point? The essence of the joy in Soulsborne games is it's being hard. It's about you adapting to the mechanics of the game, to how enemies attack you, learning their strings, learning how to dodge their attacks, how to counter their attacks. And in Sekiro, this just goes on a whole new level. First, we said there's the dodge. Second, we said there's the dodge. Unlike Dark Souls or Bloodborne, dodging an attack in Sekiro is much harder than Dark Souls or Bloodborne. It's not like what is it called? It's unless you're fighting a boss like the ogre, which you need to dodge a lot. But most of the enemies here, the tracking of their attacks is very accurate. So when you try to dodge an attack, the attack will get you, especially if you're close to the enemy. That's where we come to as number 3 in the combat, which is deflection. And oh my god, do I love this feature. It's so fucking sick. You have a deflection feature, which is basically you gotta press L1 as soon as the attack lands on you. Now, yeah, many people, they do this, tick, 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 and I assume it's easier on PC with more frames, but it doesn't always work. You gotta time it. I mean, they didn't make it tedious where you have to time it perfectly like Dark Souls, and if you don't time it perfectly, you'll get hit. No, if you know how to block and time your deflections right, if you don't get a deflection, you'll get a block. You block the attack, which will build up your posture level. So the risk is building up your posture meter. But if you get your deflections right, you master the timing of deflections better. It becomes so sick where you can build up your enemy's posture meter, and then they get stunned and you perform a death blow. And oh my god, the death blows, man. Like, after I played this game, I can't, when I go back to Bloodborne, I always play Bloodborne every now and then. When I went back to Bloodborne after I finished Sekiro the first time, it was like, you know, it was kind of frustrating. It feels kind of disappointing when you kill an enemy and they just fall down and die. Not like when you get that red dot and you just shove your sword into them, performing a sick animation death blow. They just perfected the combat in every single aspect. Now, other than deflections, you have dodge. When you want to use dodge is basically mostly when you get overhead attacks from enemy. When an enemy is about to perform an overhead attack, that's when you need to dodge sideways, or sometimes dodge backwards if it's a big enemy and you want to build up your posture meter. But this is another thing, your posture meter, when it gets filled up, you can hold block to fill up, to reduce your posture meter faster. But of course you have to get away from the enemy a bit and then hold for your posture meter to go to to go back to normal faster. Then we have the jump. You can't just randomly jump around an enemy and dodge their attacks with the jump button. No, it doesn't work like that. Jump on an enemy and they'll fuck you up if they're going in their mid-string, you know. The only time where you jump is when you get that red symbol from the enemy attack. When you see that red symbol, it's gonna be either of two options. It's either a thrust attack or a sweep attack. And you have to make a split-second decision. You know, you gotta know: am I gonna deflect this attack? Am I gonna dodge this attack? If it's a normal string starter, I gotta deflect. If it's an overhead, I gotta dodge sideways. If it's a red symbol, you gotta pay attention to the attack. If it's gonna be a sweep attack or a thrust attack. If it's a sweep attack, that's when you jump. Now many people miss this. Many people, they just jump and attack. No, actually, if the enemy performs a sweep attack, you gotta jump and jump again on the enemy. That takes a lot. That deals a lot of posture damage to the enemy, to the enemy's posture. But and the other one is the thrust attack. If you see the enemy not doing a sweep attack, doing a thrust, when you see that red symbol, you'll see the enemy just bolting at you, charging at you with this thrust attack. That's when you gotta dodge in exactly the same direction of the attack. Like if the enemy is facing you and he's doing a thrust attack, you gotta dodge in the enemy's face, in the enemy's direction. And that's where you perform that sick mechanic called Mikiri, where you basically use your prosthetic arm to put the enemies counter the enemy's thrust attack and put your leg on his weapon and push it down to the ground, which also deals a lot of posture damage. This is what I'm talking about. This is why no matter how much you play Sekiro, even though you memorize those attacks, it doesn't feel that much repetitive compared to other Soulsborne games. Now, I'm not going to be talking about other games other than the Soulsborne series, because in my opinion, best RPG games are the Soulsborne series when it comes to such hardcore difficulty. Of course, I'm a big fan of other games, a lot of other games as well, like The Witcher, of course, but The Witcher's combat is nothing compared to Sekiro's combat. Now, what else do I forgot, man. I need to remember what else do I want to talk about. The story, like I said, is amazing, and you get those two swords, death blow. What else? Oh, wow, how did we forget? Look at this. Like, wow. Look how many styles, what was this called? How many combat arts that you can unlock. And I still haven't unlocked all of them. There's like another 10 more. There's so many that you can unlock, and the more you play the game, the more you learn what kind of enemies you need to use which kind of combat art on. And when you there's just too much information for the combat, you know. Like in other Souls game series, there's too much information for the story and the lore. Here, the lore in Sekiro is obvious. It's not hidden like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, which I think is a very cool feature in Dark Souls and Bloodborne. I love the way they hide the lore and you gotta discover it. But still, Sekiro is an amazing storytelling game. The combat there is so much. Every combat art has a sick animation, and a sick purpose. You don't come across. I mean, yes, there are some combat arts that are more useful than others, and you'll probably be using them mostly. And some combat arts you'll stop touching. But like for example, this combat art, I started using it in the beginning of the game, and the more I unlocked combat arts, I stopped using it. Then I got my sword, the sword on my back. Unfortunately, I can't show you now because you gotta backstab an enemy to activate the ninjutsu, which reminds me, you have ninjutsu as well. So fucking cool. Ninjutsu is basically a power you can activate upon after a backstab, death blow. When you backstab an enemy, you have an option to activate your ninjutsu. This one that I'm equipping right now, as you can see on the right top side of the screen, it basically, it's explained the wolf discovers this technique upon breathing full blade, forming cursed sword from spilled blood. So you use your enemy's blood to, it bears likeness to mortal blade, it cannot kill the undying. It uses the blood of the enemy you backstab to make your attacks more powerful, and the range of your attacks would become bigger as well, like if the enemy is far from you. It's just like that Lady Maria. Oh fuck, you know, when I played Bloodborne, when I fought Lady Maria the first time, I mean the first couple of times when I got my ass handed to me before I killed her, the whole time I was thinking, oh please, please, please let me have that ability she has when I beat her. But once I did beat her, it turns out, no, you just have the swords, and yeah, you do some awesome, cool looking combos, but you don't have that blood splashing, fire activating attacks. Now, other than this ninjutsu, this one is a, I don't know how is it called. This one is basically you put your, after you backstab an enemy, you put your fingers into its head, and the enemy becomes your puppet. You control it, and there's many ways to use this. There's even a part of the story that you gotta use this for. I'm not gonna spoil it for everyone. By now, maybe most people have played this game, but still, there's some story aspects, story parts of the game that you actually need to use this ninjutsu for. Otherwise, you cannot proceed in the game, depending on what ending you're going for. But that's what's cool about it. You don't just use it for combat. You also use it for other story, for other. It has many uses for it. If you use it on an enemy that's close to you, he becomes your ally, and he fights with you to a certain level. Unless the third enemy that is not controlled by you kills him, he'll still be alive. When there are no enemies around and you get far away from him, he'll die. Or you can just what you can actually do as well, so sick, you can, for example, backstab an enemy, use this ninjutsu, control him to help you fight. Like maybe there are 3 other enemies, help you to fight 2 other enemies. Then when his health bar is very low, he's about to die, you can backstab him again, and before you backstab him, you switch to this and activate this. Or maybe you can switch to this, backstab him again, and activate this. When you activate this, a circle, this would have been much better if this is edited and I have clips matching of what I'm talking about. But basically, if you backstab an enemy and use this ninjutsu, you'll create a big what's the word? A big cloud of blood that will temporarily blinden enemies and leave them prone to a death blow. So you can backstab them as well. Now you can see that the one that takes the most emblems is this one, which takes 7 emblems. Now, other than there's just too much to this game's combat. You have the prosthetic arm, prosthetic tools. Oh my god. This one is fully upgraded, is a shuriken. If you shoot it one time, it's just like a normal shuriken. if you hold it, it shoots multiple hits on the enemy, and you can perform a follow-up attack. For example, like this. Oh shit, no. You can perform a follow-up attack like this, which is very useful when you're trying to fight a boss that is like you, not a huge ass boss. And you have this, what is it called? You have this fire around you. If you hold it around you. And the whistle actually I haven't found it very useful, or maybe because I still don't know how to use it properly yet. But the whistle is basically, you can, if there are multiple enemies standing together and you want to go for a stealth approach for, let's see, is there anyone up? Let me go to a better place. I'm not fighting anything. The person who's going to be watching this video is probably going to quit halfway because it's boring. So you have there are so many prosthetic tools that you can use. Shit, I keep thinking that I'm gonna finish, but there's just so much to talk about this game. I just want to show the rest of the prosthetic tools, and that should be the end of this video. It took longer than I thought, and shit, I gotta go to work soon. This is a very, very bad video presentation. Wait, damn it, I forgot. Oh yeah, I remember. I'm supposed to go. I'll show you some of the combat while I'm playing the game now. There are many videos I have about this game. You can just check out the other videos if you want to see the gameplay. This game is just about me talking about the game. Well, oh yeah. And there are also as well, when you proceed more in the game, you get this blade that's called the Mortal Blade. Now during your when you're playing the game early in the game, you run into these enemies that you kill, but they don't die. They just get stunned for a while, and then they'll wake up again and fight. When you get this Mortal Blade, you'll be able to finish them off with a second death blow. I don't know how these Japanese nerds come up with all these cool features, man. It's just so... I had so much respect. Praise the sun, praise from software. So let me show you the... I don't know, what am I supposed... I'll show you this, the blood one. That one is facing... I'll just attack him and show you. Oh shit. I can thrust attack. Oh, see, he was too far. Whoa! See, I just died. That's what's cool about this game. You can die in 2 hits. He delayed his attack, and I dodged forward a bit earlier than I should have. Okay, let me focus. What am I doing? By the way, I haven't played Sekiro for a couple of days. Bro, shit! I just died. Okay, this is a major fuck up. I can hear people laughing at me from now. I'll just backstab one of them. No, I want to show you the Mikiri. The Mikiri is so sick. I'll finish one off, then start the other one. You gotta use this to finish him off quickly. Who's that? Noob. Hey, what's up, man? Bro, I'm doing this video broadcast, not actually a gameplay broadcast. This is me kind of reviewing the game, you know. I just want to try to put something new on my channel, and I've been talking for like 20 minutes straight, man, about comparing this game to Soulsborne. And again, I failed to do the Mikiri. The whole point of me fighting this is just to show the Mikiri. Come on, come on, come on. Fuck you. Okay. So when an enemy... Where is the... Do the attack, fucker! He's not doing it anymore. Come on. Do it. Yes. That's the Mikiri. Now, it takes so much timing, so much accurate, very accurate timing, and when you do get that... Oh, thanks. Yeah, I know the damage. This is New Game Plus. It even does more damage than... So what I wanted to talk about more are the prosthetic tools. I showed the whistle, I was talking about the whistle. So basically, if you want to separate this enemy from that, what you can do is come here, you can hold the whistle, and when you do this, if you hold R2, the sound will get triggered a few seconds later, and it will only the enemy that you locked on will hear the sound, so you can draw him to you and take him out. But for some reason this idiot is not... What am I doing? This idiot is not moving. Let's try the other one. Yeah, so this one... Oh, people with weapons that are... I forgot what's the word in English. That has ranged weapons like a rifle or a bow. They won't move from their place. Only enemies that actually move. This guy is not bad. I want to show another prosthetic arm. Oh, this one is one of my absolute favorite. This is like a substitution ninjutsu in Naruto that you see in Naruto. So first I'm gonna show the ninjutsu, which is this one, and then I'm gonna show the prosthetic skill, this one. I'm gonna backstab this guy and use him to power up my blade with his blood, which is such a fucking cool mechanic. Okay, I fucked up. Why am I fucking up so much? You can still actually, I can still get a death blow on him. Backstab. Oh, I can just deflect his attacks, then jump over him, get a backstab, and do it. I'll do it now. No, you're not. Oh, fuck. This. See, I can do this, and now I can take it and activate it. This was, now I'm using his blood. Now oh shit, I can kill them with one hit if I have this blood on. So I'll show you this. See, this is what I'm talking about. If you activate the skill, as soon as the hit lands on you, you'll disappear and leave a trail. I upgraded the skill. Usually it doesn't leave a trail of fire behind you, but when I upgrade it, you leave a trail of fire behind you and appear from other places to attack them. Alright, chill. Yeah, I don't even think there you go. A cool enemy that I'm gonna be fighting now is this Blades fucker. Okay, I'm gonna end the video after killing this guy. Another one that I want to show is this fan is basically see, I love that you can actually access anywhere you want to go and jump anywhere. This fan, if you use it, certain enemies will actually be spirited away with this fan. Spirited away means they'll just disappear if you use it on them, but very few enemies and weak enemies. Other enemies, if you use it on them, you press it again, they'll get stunned for a second and they'll be prone, vulnerable for a death blow. Another one is the... Oh, this is basically, it's a kunai, same as the shuriken, but it has these light effects that also deals damage to the enemy. And the axe, of course, I upgraded this. The first one doesn't have fire, this one has fire. Shields, to break their shields, because dealing with enemies who has shields without the axe is extremely difficult. You have this. What's up, you know? Any nudachi. What the hell is nudachi, man? You have this spear that is basically for ranged enemies. If you wanna, for example, if you wanna drag an enemy to you, you can use it, then press R2 again to drag the enemy to you. If you press R1, you'll follow up with a hit like I just did. Let me demonstrate that better. So if I can do this and follow up with an attack with my sword, or I can do this, and if it hits the enemy, see, I can drag him to me, or long ass katana. No man, I have it on my back, but I only use it for, you can only use the mortal blade for certain enemies, undying enemies, immortal enemies, which you'll see, no actually you'll not see in this video. So the third feature for this spear, if you hold R2 to this, it's so sick. Last, what else do we have? Oh, we have this poison small sword. I don't know if I'm calling it right. This one is pretty sick. If you hit R2 with R1, you do this combo chain, or you can keep going. A lot of combos you can do with this. It's so sick. It's really fucking sick. Is there any more prosthetic tools we need to show? Oh, the shield. These shields, actually, those two are not very useful. Those two are the most useful. This one you use for enemies that, like headless, the enemies that uses magic. Because if you block, if you normal block magic, you'll still get terror meter, and if you get too much of that, you'll die. This kind of shield will protect you from magic and terror effect. And this is for the fucking Demon of Hatred boss, which is fire. Any enemy that uses fire, if you use the shield, you won't get any fire effect, or your fire meter won't build up. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Anything else before we proceed? Oh, yes, of course. One of the sickest prosthetic tools. I just need to recharge my... Oh shit, I don't have a lot. I need to buy more. Okay, just buy. So this one is fire. Now, if you use this followed up by an attack, a sword attack, you'll actually... you'll only be able to do this if you purchase the skill or activate the skill. This is the last skill in this. Where was it? Yeah, this is the last skill in the first tree of combat. So if you use the fire, then follow up with a sword attack, you'll actually be able to put the fire on the sword for a certain amount of time. Like this. And when you're fighting an enemy with your sword on fire, you actually deal fire damage to them. And if you hit them too many times, they'll get stunned for a while because they'll get set on fire, which is so sick. Now another one, you can hold R2 to have this sick flame animation and fucking burn your enemy, you know? Or this is the last skill you can unlock for this prosthetic tool, which is just fucking like a flamethrower. You go, it's kind of, you need some good accurate timing to do this. It goes like this. Ah, see, that is so sick. Look at that. You fuck up the enemies, dude. Especially bosses that are prone or vulnerable to fire. I think that's pretty much it. That's most of the prosthetic tools. You'll see this one. I'll be using this while I'm fighting this mini boss I'm gonna come across now. That's where I'll end the video. This video took way longer than I thought. Let's see. We gotta go down. We have the key from Kuro. And where? Okay. Just the freedom in this game, it's just too fucking sick. I mean, when you come from a Souls-born game and you see how much freedom you have in this game where you can jump and grapple on things, it's just mind-blowing. There's an area back there that you can actually go to, an item to pick up, but fuck it, I'm not gonna go there. I'm just gonna go straight to the boss. It's not an actual boss, it's a mini boss. He's kinda annoying. Oh, that bitch! He got me while I was in the air. So as you can see, when I perform a death blow sometimes, not sometimes, whenever I perform a death blow, some of my health regenerates. That's one skill you unlock in the skill tree. It gives you the ability of regenerate. I'll do a Mikiri on this guy. I'll try. No, attack it though. No, I want a Mikiri. Come on. What? No, that's not how it's done. Mikiri, bitch. Yeah, that's a Mikiri. You gotta dodge in the face of the enemy as soon as he does that attack. When you see that red symbol, a thrust attack. Where was the way? Way? What? There's another way from there. Fuck. And there's so many ways to discover in this game. There's so many places to go to. There's so much things to do. So many endings to experience. I still have to show up the other ninjutsus, but I didn't show all of them. I just showed the blood one. There's one that controls enemies, and the other one that forms a cloud of blood. Oh, actually, I'm not. Fuck! I didn't go the right way. Oh my god! I died. I'm not supposed to go this way. Oh, you reload. That's the first time I see him reloading. Yeah, this guy is kind of tough. Oh, actually, this is not the way, dude. Fuck. Where was that boss? Oh yeah, actually this is the way. Yeah, you know what? I don't have any more time to it's a long way from here to get to the mini boss. I thought it's gonna be shorter. But this is basically it. I've showed most of the skills. I've talked about why I love this game so much. I didn't want to do this video. I wanted to do it later. I wanted to present it more, like I said, match the clips with what I'm talking about, but it just will take me so long because I don't have a PC yet. I hope anybody who watches this enjoyed what I said or how I talked about the game. Again, I don't mean to offend any Soulsborne games. It's just my own opinion that this Sekiro is the best From Software game I've ever played. And in my opinion, it's much better than Dark Souls and Bloodborne. They have their own aspects. I love that about them. But the top for me is Sekiro. Yep, that's it. Thank you for watching.